Hello, welcome back to my channel, Thrifty Day. On today's Journal With Me episode, I'm going to have a lengthy but super fun triple layout about my experience watching the Bob Baker marionette show in LA. It was such a wonderful experience. I've been a huge Bob Baker fan for quite a while now, and one of my very dearest friends, who's actually family, Diego, is a puppeteer for Bob Baker marionettes. So I've been hoarding ephemera because I love the whole Bob Baker aesthetic. I've been hoarding for quite a while now, so let me give you a closer look. I'll start with some of the photos that I have. We actually saw the Bob Baker marionette show at La Plaza in LA this past weekend. And then, because my friend Diego is a puppeteer, we actually got to go to the theater and see all the amazing things that were there. So I was beyond inspired to create this layout. I'm going to use some vintage fabric that reminds me of Bob Baker. This is a zine I purchased from their website. This is actually a vintage book that while we were walking around Highland Park after visiting the theater, Diego actually found in a used bookstore. And I just love the colors. It was very reminiscent of Bob Baker to me. Very vintage, very whimsical, very imaginative. So I'm going to use these 2 pages in the layout as well. This is some of the ephemera that came with the online purchases that I had made or that I picked up at the theater. This Viewmaster reel can be purchased on the Bob Baker website in their web store. I will link it down below. But I love the Bob Baker aesthetic, so I've purchased a lot from them and I absolutely love it. And these clown stickers were actually from the theater. Diego gave them to me, so they're special too. And this is some of the ephemera that you can actually find in my Etsy shop. It's basic ephemera, but the colors were perfect for my layout today. Well, layouts. And so I'm very excited to use them because it's all exactly in the theme of what I'm trying to communicate and convey in my journal today. Well, let's jump right in. I am so excited about these book pages. It was so perfect that Diego was actually who found them, since he is a puppeteer for Bob Baker. And any information, if you are interested in seeing a Bob Baker show, if you're in LA or going to be in LA, I am going to link their website down below because you cannot miss it if you will be in the area. And it is definitely worth traveling to the area because the show and the theater is unmatched anywhere. It's incredible. So I'll link that down below. But this particular book page I'm going to use as a full-size page pocket because I have so many photographs. I know there's no way I'm going to be able to put them all in this layout. So I think it will be a good idea to have a pocket to put whatever I can't use into at the end of creating the layout. And I'm going to put that bright colored flower washi tape right down the center like I always do. It's very sticky. And I love this particular washi tape. It's from Amanda Michelle Designs on Etsy, I believe. And I love it. So I don't know if it's still in stock, but that's where I purchased it and it was on Etsy. So the pocket is perfect. It will fit everything that doesn't go onto the layout. So I'm very excited. And I think what I'm going to do now is pull out all the photos I know I want to be featured. So there's about 4 to 6 pictures I know I want to be featured. So I'm going to pull them out and set them aside so I can start to work with them and so that I don't forget to put them in the layout. And to be very honest, there were and is so much ephemera and so many pictures and so many memories. I'm a little overwhelmed creating all of these pages. So there's a lot of flipping back and forth and trying things and just kind of jumping around because I don't really know what I'm doing, but I love everything. So I will tell you in advance, there's a lot of jumping around in these layouts. So this was a card that came with one of my web store purchases from Bob Baker, and it was so beautiful because it looks like a theater on the front. So I'm just going to use it as a flip up on this particular page with all those flowers that actually reminds me of the floor in the Bob Baker Theater, because the floor when you walk into the theater is a really pretty Kelly green with big white daisies. So I actually picked these pages because that particular paper reminded me so much of the Bob Baker floor. And now I'm going to use my favorite thick washi tape, also from Amanda Michelle Designs on Etsy, because it's so kind of funky 70s and I think it fits the vibe and matches the bright colors of Bob Baker. And I'm loving these library cards that are rainbow color. Like I said, you can find these in my Etsy shop. And I'm desperately trying to fit journal space in because I know I have so much ephemera and so many pictures. So I'm trying to fit in these library cards to write on. And I actually don't end up putting it there, but I do end up using those library cards in the future. When I picked up the reel and put it there on the side, I knew that was the perfect place for it. So I used this tiny hole puncher. It's actually meant to punch holes in metal, but it was the perfect size because it was just a small enough hole to put that brad through the center of that reel, that Viewmaster reel, and now it actually spins. And the good part is if I want to remove it and actually use it in a Viewmaster or show people the photos that are in that reel in a Viewmaster, I can still take it out of the journal. It's not a permanent, it's not glued down to the page or anything. So now I'm just trying to find out what I want to put on that flip up. That's probably my favorite picture. It was a really cute selfie of us with Diego just before the show. But like I said, it's getting very difficult to commit to things because there's just so much. So I decided to put that pamphlet from the theater right onto that pink and white striped page because it just looks so pretty. It was so aesthetic. And so then I decided to put that picture of Abby and Diego right in the center of that pamphlet because that was a really fun memory. We had lunch and we shopped and we went book shopping and plant shopping after in Highland Park. And I snapped that picture of them together. And so I wanted to go ahead and make sure that that made it into the layout for sure. So I'm just going to put washi tape on the top and the bottom. And I'm really happy with how this is coming out, even though I'm still slightly overwhelmed at this point because there's still so much that needs to go on to the pages. So now it's time to get the other vintage book page on there, and I don't want to cut any of it out. I want the entire page to be featured because it is absolutely incredible. But I don't want to cover up that blue fabric dyed page because that robin's egg blue is just so pretty, and I actually loved the markings from the dye. So I decided to just trim that page up a little bit, and I'm going to use PVA glue to glue the entire thing onto that yellow page. So now that it's trimmed perfectly, I get my glue and my brush and I put a very thin layer on the back. PVA glue is very strong, so you don't need very much, even if it's a big piece like this page. So you just completely put a thin layer on the back and then I'm going to stick it right down onto that page. It makes me so happy, and I love that it's so special because it's actually from our visit. So that was a really special piece of ephemera to me. And now I'm going to put a thick piece of washi tape just down the side. And I've had this one for a while. I actually can't remember where I got it. I'm so sorry. If I can remember, I will leave it in the description below. So now that I've put that vintage page down, I want to add this really pretty orange and yellow daisy cardstock to the other side because to me it matches the theme so well. And so I'm just going to use my ruler and kind of coarsely tear the cardstock because I don't love perfect lines in anything. I feel like this is called a junk journal for a reason. I don't want it to look perfect. And I feel like trying to be perfect just puts too much pressure onto a layout. So I like using things like rulers and just kind of tearing things because it takes pressure off, in my opinion. Maybe that's just me, but I use PVA glue. I put that beautiful piece of retro flower paper onto the page, and then I'm going to eventually put a bunch of photos onto this page. But first I'm going to put that washi tape down the center so that it doesn't lift when the pages start to turn. So now that I have a beautiful blank page to work with, I'm going to pull out some of my photos and decide how I want them arranged throughout the layout. So the first thing I do is pull out my favorite picture, and like I said, it's that fun selfie with Diego just before his performance. And then I'm going to pull out a few of the others, but I'm going to decide where this one goes first because it is my favorite. So I do decide to put it on that theater flip up because then I could do all my journaling underneath, and then it makes it a little bit more special since it is my favorite. So I'm just going to use my Scotch double stick tape and I'm going to put it right on there, and I will use some washi tape on the sides, and really that's just for decoration. It's just a pretty pink floral thin washi tape, and I just like the way it looks. So now what I'm going to do is grab a few others, and since they're all very big photos, I'm actually just going to trim them down. These were some of my favorite pictures because it was Abby with the puppets in the theater, and I'm not going to lie, she was slightly scared. It was kind of funny. So this is a picture of her saying, "No, I don't want to take a picture with the puppet." And then the next picture is me saying, "Oh no, you're going to take a picture with the puppet." And so it was all in good fun. She actually learned to do the puppets while we were there, which was really exciting. And then that top picture is of Diego and the other puppeteers for Bob Baker during their show, which is just so much fun. I cannot wait to go to the theater now that it is open in LA. So I just used my double stick tape and I put all three of those photos onto that page. And I'm just so happy with the way it looks. I'm loving the colors, I'm loving the vibe, and I'm loving remembering the memories. So even though that photo page is not totally complete, I'm still going to add embellishments. I actually flipped to the next page because, like I said, I'm still not even sure what is happening creatively. So I know I want to add this fabric, and I love the way that yellow looks against that robinade blue dyed page. So I was excited to get to that. So I cut my favorite part of that little vintage fabric. I cut it out, and I know that's going to go on the page. And now I'm kind of flipping through that Bob Baker zine. Those are some of my favorite Bob Baker puppets, so I knew that had to get into the layout, but it was just a little bit big. It wasn't really working anywhere, so I was kind of trying it on different pages, looking to see where it would work. In the meantime, I decided to use some washi tape and make that Bob Baker business card a flip down on that vintage book page, just because I liked the way it looked. And by doing that, it doesn't cover any of the vintage book page and still features the book card, or the book card? No, the business card rather. So as you can see, I'm sort of kind of all over the place, still trying to figure out that picture, still trying to figure out library cards. It's not quite coming into focus, so I go back to the fabric. This is another one of my favorite photos, by the way. It's Diego and Hannah. Hannah was so excited to see the puppet show. She loved it, and she hugged Diego after, and she was just so excited. So that was a sweet memory. Actually, Abby caught that on her phone, Hannah hugging him. And so I just trimmed that photo, and I know that it will be featured on this page because I love it and it makes me happy. So now the photo is trimmed, and I'm going to use that little white envelope. It was actually the envelope that the Viewmaster came in, so I decided to use it as a pocket. This was actually the little invoice form that the things I ordered online came in, and Diego was actually there helping pack orders, so he wrote a sweet little personal note on there, and there's a Bob Baker stamp. So I'm just going to stick that into that envelope as like a pocket and a memory. And now I'm going to use that beautiful dandelion yellow library card for journal space right under that photo of Hannah and Diego. So I'm happy with how the layout looks overall. So now I'm just going to sort of remove everything, get out that PVA glue again, and use it to glue all of these items down onto that page. I start with that vintage fabric scrap, and I glue it down, and then I go over to the envelope. You just need a thin layer for everything because, like I said, PVA glue is very strong. It will hold, and I just put it right there onto the page, just a little bit over onto the fabric, but I want that fabric to be prominent and visible. Now I add that library card, and then I'm actually going to use double stick tape for the photo because it doesn't need glue, because photos stick really well, in my opinion and in my experience, with double stick tape. So now that everything is glued down or taped down, I am going to add a few staples just to really reinforce everything, and I kind of like the way staples look. So I add a few to the top and a few to the bottom, and then once that is done, I'm going to add that paper into the pocket, And this page is looking very close to done. I am going to add a few other things, but I like the little hodgepodge collage look I have going. So I'm going to use this pink tag. You can find these little price tags. They're like rainbow price tags. You can find them in my Etsy shop. I'll link them down below. But I'm just going to leave a little note on there about what's in the pocket. And then I'm going to put that really cute minty string right through it. And then I'm going to staple it to the top of that paper. So it's almost like a pull tab. So when I put it in the pocket, it's really easy to just pull in and out. I'm just going to staple it on there, which is really simple. And I like the way that looks. I like the way that the fabric is still visible underneath. Has a really fun vibe. And I'm still kind of fiddling around with that really cute patch. I have it up there, but it doesn't end up staying there. This was also a really cute little piece of ephemera from my web purchase. And I'm just going to use a piece of that washi tape and put it right on the library card. But as you can see, it's going to flip up, so I can still journal under there, but still have an element over it. But it's not going to take away from where I want to write. So that's a really fun little tip. The next thing I knew I wanted to add to these particular layouts were these pastel colored doilies, at least one. They were the perfect color, and you can find this set in my Etsy shop as well, which I will of course link down below. So I choose the pink one, and I use my ruler to just sort of coarsely chop it in half, and then I'm going to use my PVA glue to just glue it to the bottom, and then I'm going to use that small part in the middle as journal space, just sort of to leave a quick note about the book pages and how we found them. And then I realized how cute that patch looked next to it, so I just stapled it right onto the page, and I was really happy with how that came out. And the next thing I did was super simple. I just used some of that thick washi tape. I ripped it right in half, and I put it right onto those photos. It added color and made it a little bit more interesting, not just photos on a page. I used one of those same tags from my Etsy shop. I chose the pink one, and I wrote about the photos quickly and just used that washi tape to stick it right onto the page. There was a tiny strip of cardstock right next to that pamphlet that didn't have anything in it, which was fine. I could have journaled there or put nothing there, but I remembered I had this really sweet scrap of paper from a journal I had made with really whimsical little characters on it that kind of reminded me of Bob Baker, so I pulled it out from where I keep my scraps, and I just used my glue stick and put it right down onto that page, and it was perfect. It fit perfectly. And so now I'm just going to add those extra photos into the big pocket that I had made. That was also a note from Diego that we just kept, and I stuck that into the pocket, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. I was kind of flipping back and forth through the pages thinking I was done, but then I remembered that I had that picture of those witch puppets that are my favorites. And since there was a blank page on the other side, I took the opportunity to just put together a really quick page just to feature those puppets because I love them. I think they're so charming and I love their colors. So I had a scrap of that paper that I had used on the previous page, and I just glued it down. I put some washi tape down the center, and then I glued the entire page from that Bob Baker zine right onto the page. Well, I didn't glue it. I guess I used double stick tape. And I'm so happy I did because those puppets bring me a lot of joy. And I was just going to leave it like that, but then I remembered I had an extra Bob Baker postcard that was sent to me, so I later used that and create a pocket. But then I used some of these clown stickers, and I just kind of put them throughout all the pages. They were really special because Diego actually found them in the Bob Baker office, and he said, oh, here, you have to have some of these. So I knew that I wanted them throughout my layout. And then, like always, I'm going to use some of these tiny word stickers and put them all around the layout because I think they're a really cute way to add character and journal without actually having to write. So it was right about this time that I remembered I had that postcard. And so I just really quickly used some double stick tape. I put it around 3 sides, and then I just stick it right down to the page. And the really great part about this was there was a few pictures that were important to me, but I was able to pull out of that big pocket and just put into this smaller pocket to sort of feature. And that's the floor of the Bob Baker Theater that I love so much, that I was inspired by. And then I also use the blue library card that you can find in my Etsy shop as journal space. So I quickly journaled about the photos and our time. I put a little clown sticker on top, and I was able to stick the photos and the journal card right into that pocket. And it was just a really quick page, but I was so happy I did it. So here are the finished layouts. I'm really happy with how it came out. I did my journaling off camera. As you can see, I wrote all over the book pages. I wrote on the library cards. I wrote directly onto the cardstock. And I'm so happy with how this came out. It was such a beautiful memory and such a really, really fun day. So remember, you can find a lot of this really whimsical Bob Baker merchandise over in their web shop, which I have linked below. And if you were interested in any of the ephemera, the tags, the library cards, the doilies, you can find them in my Etsy shop, which is also linked below. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe to my channel. I hope you were inspired. I hope you have a really great week, and I hope you know that I am super grateful for each and every one of you, for your views, for your kindness, for your comments, for your overall support. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.